we give all praises, honor, and glory that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who all learned this truth from them well. Peace, salutations to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect. Unto you I say Shalom. Coming to you back with another lesson through the Spirit. And I'm entitled this one: Esau will use the sword to get people to bow the knee. And who is Esau in the scriptures? Esau, Edom, will be no other today than a self-proclaimed white man, the quote-unquote superior race upon the planet Earth, because ultimately they've been given a blessing that would allow them to rule in the latter days. This is why you see the self-proclaimed white man Esau, Edom, ruling upon the planet Earth, to the point where he has control of all the resources, the monetary system, the food, the water, the air, what these people see on the social media, on TV. But ultimately, this devil, like it says in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, his desire is his hell, meaning he can't have enough. That's why you see that he's going around the earth, taking over all these different countries and their oil, from Venezuela, Cuba. Now he's trying to take over the Iranian supply of oil over there in the Strait of Hormuz. But ultimately, what this devil isn't counting on is that he's at his end. We're at the end of this devil's kingdom, and he knows that. That's why he's about to do what he knows best, is come down with the sword, because that's all he has left to do. He can't deceive the people no more by his psyops, his pseudoscience. He can't use the same psyops on these people, another shutdown like 2020, because these people have found out that Esau, Edom, is the devil that the Bible speaks of, that he's the problem of the earth. So ultimately, the only thing that's left for him to do is just put people to death. Because once he implements that MOTB, which is the RFID microchip, majority of people, they're not going to comply. They're not going to comply with the Great Reset. They're not going to comply with the New World Order. So what is Esau going to do? He's going to pretty much put people at a gunpoint. And that's the times we're coming into. But majority of these people on the earth, from the 2/3 of our people of the nation of Israel and these heathen nations, they're going to be willing to bow the knee to Esau, Edom, because ultimately they're afraid of death. They're afraid to get put to death. But the remnant and the elect, they have already been predestined to receive that crown, regardless if they have to lay their life down for Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. But these people in the world, they're about to be through out here, because ultimately they fear death. They fear Esau Edom more than Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, our people, the Israelites. This is Revelation chapter 12 and verse 11. And it reads, it says, "And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death." And this is going into the elect and the remnant of the nation of Israel. The 144,000 and 1/3. Those are the ones who are ultimately willing to walk away from this life, even to the point where it means choosing death, for not bowing the knee to the system, not bowing the knee to the image of Baal, which is going to be the modern day image, a digital idol that speaks, which is going to be that MOTB, that RFID microchip, because it says, "And they love not their lives unto the death." We have all the accounts of our ancient forefathers, from the 3 holy children, the 7 children in the book of Maccabees, that were willing to lose their lives, to get tortured, to get skinned alive, for not bowing the knee to the enemy. And that's what's going to happen in these last days. The remnant and the elect, they're going to be willing to lose their lives, whatever death they may have to suffer, being a martyr, being beheaded, like it says in the book of Revelation. Those who were beheaded for the testimony of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. We're about to enter into those times. But the rest of the people in the world, they're going to be afraid of death. They're going to be scared of being beheaded, because ultimately they think that this life is the end all be all. And ultimately they're going to overcome this devil by the blood of Yahushua. Verse 12, it says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he had but a short time." So the only ones who are rejoicing at this devil's downfall, of the collapse of his system, his kingdom, is the elect and the remnant, because the people in the world, they're bugging out. They don't know what the hell they're going to do. But the elect and the remnant, they're in the correct spirit, because they know that ultimately this place has to fall for the kingdom of heaven to come. And that's why this devil is moving sloppy, tacky. He's using the same tactics. He had the White House get shot up again. He's all over the place because he doesn't have any new tricks. He's using the same old tricks, the same old playbook, and he's found out. People know that he's about to implement that MOTB. Your average person knows what the MOTB is. The third witness. And the cat is out the bag of what this devil NWO plan is, which ultimately to put a RFID microchip inside everybody, so you can have complete control of the planet Earth, complete control of what people think, where they move, 15-minute cities. We're going to have cockroach protein bars. These are the times we're coming into, because Esau, Edom, doesn't have much longer. So the only thing left for him to do is just come down with that sword, with those UN troops, the foreign troops, the Gestapo troops, the concentration centers. That's what's right around the corner, and ultimately is reserved for the 2/3 wicked of our people. And for these heathens, the elect and the remnant might be thrown, like it says in the book of Revelation, you shall be thrown in prison for, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 10, says pretty much a perfect amount. That's the times we're coming into. The elect and the remnant, some of the members are going to be thrown in these concentration camps to have their fate tested. Some are even going to be faced with death and are going to be willing to take it. But the rest of these people, they're going to be tortured. They're going to be through as hell out here for their wickedness. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 16 and verse 70. It says, "For there shall be in every place in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai." And who are the ones that fear the Lord? Are the Israelites, which today were comprised of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and the Israelite foreigners that are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, but are going to come looking like these other heathen nations, but their lineage goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. This is ultimately who Jacob's trouble is for the 2/3 of our people. And for these heathens, even though the remnant, the elect, might be in the midst of it, ultimately they're going to be kept from these things, like it says in the book of Psalms chapter 91. You won't be seeing people get put to death by the thousands, but yet it's not going to come near the elect. It's reserved for these wicked 2/3 that think that nothing's ever going to happen, that Esau, Edom is, he's a good guy. No, Esau, Edom's a devil. And he's about to really show his horns. People think that he's being a devil right now, that he's mean, but these people haven't seen nothing yet. Verse 71, "They shall be like mad men, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai." Right now, the 2/3 of our people, they don't fear the Lord. That's why they don't think that they're going to need deliverance, that they're going to be mercy. Because in their mindset, they think that Esau, Edom, is never going to take it there. That he's never going to take it there, like in the Purge movies, where Esau he had the 12 hours to do whatever he wants. That's what he's about to do with the 2/3 of our people. He's about to take it to the Purge-like scenario. Verse 72, "For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out in their houses." And you already seen a glimpse of that a couple months ago with the whole ICE situation. They were pulling Jake out of their houses and kids, at middle of the night. Jake think that, okay, damn, that was just a rough period of months. It passed, it came and it went. No, that was only the beginning. That was only a sneak peek. They ain't even shoot on sight. Eventually these Edomites, they're going to shoot on sight. Verse 73, then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as the gold in the fire. And at that time, you're going to see people getting put to death left and right. But also, you're going to see the remnant and the elect, being protected from these things, This is Ezekiel 21:9. It says, Son of man, prophesy and say, thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, a sword is sharpened and also furbished. And that's what's happening. Esau, Edom, self-proclaimed white man, he's been perfecting his sword, to the point where he's going to let out all these devices to put people to death never seen before. Robot dogs. They're going to see Terminator-like robots. Drones with flamethrowers. But our people don't consider this. They think that, that's just in the movies. That can never happen in real life. Verse 10, it is sharpened to make a sore slaughter. It is furbished that it may glitter. Shall we make then make mirth? It contemneth the rod of my son is every tree. So while Esau, Edom is getting ready to come down with that great wrath upon our people, the 2/3 of our people, they're playing games, thinking that everything's good. That Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed white man, is never going to come down with that great wrath. That he's going to keep telling Jake, I love y'all. I'm sorry for captivity and for slavery. No, Esau, he's about to really put a lot of our people to death by the sword, throwing them in these concentration centers, torturing them. This is Matthew chapter 10 and verse 28. And it reads, and fear not them which kill the body, but are able to kill the soul. But rather fear him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. And that's the contrast between the remnant and the elect. The remnant, they fear Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. So they're not even willing to, take a chance. I'm scared of you. No, the elect and the remnant, they're not scared of this devil of Esau, Edom. If anything, it's the other way around. It's Esau that's scared of the remnant and the elect of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, because he knows once he makes his move, that is wraps. That ultimately that standard's going to be lifted, like it says in the book of Isaiah, when the enemy shall come in like a flood, a standard shall be lifted. That's what's about to happen, remnant and the elect. A standard's going to be lifted in that day. But for these 2/3 that are scared of this devil, they fear Esau, even they fear what he could do, there's not going to be any covering for them. There's not going to be any protection, any deliverance. It's just going to be the sword. Them getting put to death. And ultimately, a lot of Jake is going to get put in those situations where they're going to be faced with death or taken to the MOTB, RFID microchip. But some of the 2/3, they're going to be so in fear that they're going to be willing to take the MOTB because they're scared of Esau even putting them to death, not knowing that once they take that MOTB, there's no repenting until Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. And the only thing that's left for them who take the MOTB is going to be that lake of fire, which is going to be the second death, the thermonuclear destruction. This is Romans 11 and 4. It says, but what said the answer of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai unto him? I have reserved to myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal. And we're coming into these times again. That 7,000 representing a complete number of men, which ultimately goes into the elect, the 144,000 and 1/3. Those are the ones who are going to be willing to take that death, ultimately, majority of the members of the elect are going to be delivered. They're going to be kept during Jacob's trouble, but you're also going to have those martyrs. They're going to have to suffer that death, that beheading. But ultimately, they're going to be risen up first when Yahushua makes his second coming. They're going to be crowned first. Verse 5, even so, then at this present time, also there is a remnant according to the election of grace. So it has already been predestined for the remnant, the elect, to receive that crown. They've already gotten the victory over the beast, over Esau, Edom, over this kingdom. Verse 20, Salakia. This is Matthew chapter 16 and verse 24. Then said Yahushua unto his disciples, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. And that's what majority of our people are not willing to do. They're not willing to forsake this life to the point where they're willing to lose their life for the testimony of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. And that's why only the elect and the remnant are going to receive that deliverance, because they deny themselves. They weren't thinking about them. They're not going to be thinking about themselves during the hour of temptation, during their darkest moment. No, they're going to be thinking. They're going to be thinking on that crown. The eternal life. Being first fruits, being joint heirs with Yahushua. Verse 25. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. Because the remnant, the elect, they're not looking to save their life on this side. I got all these so-called riches, stock market portfolio. No, that's the 2/3. They're going to be willing to compromise, take that MOTB, so they can keep, this little shit that Esau gave them. But the remnant, the elect, they're going to be willing to lose their life. They're already in the spirit of Micah chapter 2 and verse 10. But it's going to get to the point where they're willing to lay their lives down for Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. But that's pretty much the point. I pray that this was edifying unto the elect. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory that's due to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, Bashim Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who all learned this truth from elder well. Peace and salutations to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect. Unto you I say shalom.